Building an API platform isn't just about developer speed. It's about self-serve access to infrastructure that helps teams to build, run, and govern APIs consistently. Kong gives you the foundation to do just that. We power the world's top platform engineering teams so they can innovate faster and scale smarter. With self-serve gateway infrastructure, class-leading automation, and out-of-the-box auth and observability tooling, it's a single pane of glass for your API platform team. Cut complexity and expand your roadmap with Kong.
Alrighty, hello everyone. Welcome to this live stream. This is the second episode in our series on API discovery. My name is Erin. I am a product marketing manager here at Kong, and I'm joined by my colleague Michael Field, who is a technical product marketing manager here at Kong. And we are going to talk today about how to build reuse into your API strategy with the Konnect Developer Portal. So just to give a brief recap, right? In last week's episode of the series, we covered the challenge of API sprawl and not having comprehensive visibility into complex API ecosystems. And the important takeaway here, I think, was that without a way to manage API sprawl properly, organizations run the risk of the following outcomes to their business here shown in red, including being unable to keep up a competitive pace of innovation, operating without knowing where their security vulnerabilities are, and incurring costs from poor developer productivity. And so for those reasons, organizations need to make sure every API is discoverable, secured, and governed. And today, we'll explore how the Konnect Developer Portal, how you can leverage it to promote API reuse across your organization, and in turn, avoid slower time to market and the unnecessary development costs by ensuring your developers are able to quickly access and consume the APIs they need to deliver differentiated products. Okay, and if you missed last week's live stream, I highly encourage you to watch the brief 10-minute recording where we cover the two critical sides to API discovery that kind of lays the groundwork for this stuff. All right. So let's start by making sure we're on the same page, which requires answering, what do we mean by API reuse? So when we refer to API reuse, we're mostly talking about an API program or an API strategy that prioritizes reusing existing APIs rather than building new ones. And the reason you'd want to employ this approach is because the alternative means that developers are wasting resources searching for APIs and even creating redundant APIs. And all that time and energy spent searching and building is a cost, and it's one that can snowball dramatically over time. So by standing up an API reuse strategy through a developer portal like the Konnect Developer Portal, your organization can improve developer productivity and drive cost savings, ultimately improving time to market and the ROI that you can squeeze out of each API that's developed. So how do you do this? We like to think of this in 3 general steps, and we'll show you how that happens. So first, you start by building a customized and modern catalog of your APIs. So the Konnect Developer Portal is designed to help you quickly stand up a highly customized portal to start your API reuse strategy or journey. And we offer starter templates for teams who want to stand up a portal very quickly, as well as advanced customization options like Markdown and custom CSS and a bunch of other stuff to help you customize to your needs. And second, you want to make sure your portals are developer friendly so that developers would want to keep coming back and keep using your portal. And this means offering a frictionless API publishing and discovery experience within your portal. And finally, you want to refine your API program with these API consumption insights collected across your published APIs in the portal, because you kind of want to figure out which APIs are actively used and heavily used by analyzing and comparing request count, throughput of APIs, etc., that surface through analytics. Also possible through the Konnect Developer Portal. So with that brief introduction, let me just hand it over to Mike to show you how you could set this up in the Konnect Developer Portal with a live demo.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Erin. So we'll go ahead and switch over to my screen now. A little exception there, but Erin, are you able to see the Konnect screen now?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, so we're going to dive into just a couple of the basics of how the new portal works. So we're going to take a close look at this demo portal here. And if we want to take a live view at that portal, we can see the screen here. I have a basic homepage set up. I had this getting started guide, kind of explaining how to discover different APIs, reading the API documentation, subscribing to an API. And then I also have a limited view into, again, the APIs are going to be available publicly here. We're going to show how we can set different pages and different APIs to public versus private view. You can see here, I'm not actually logged in. So this is something that anybody could see. But the first thing I want to touch on is, this branded custom portal. I think in a lot of ways, this looks like a custom site here, something that maybe had to be hand coded in the past. We have our theme colors. We have a lot of different content and images in here. So showing how easy this is set up is I'm going to jump over to our portal editor here. And again, we won't do a super deep dive on customization today, but I want to at least touch on the portal editor here because of how powerful it is. So the new dev portal leverages what are called markdown components. So you can see components call out here with the double colon. And then basically the styling for that component is inside of what we call these YAML front matter blocks. And so you can see here, we have this broader page section component. And then nested inside of it, we have our page hero component. We have some different styling things here. And then down here, these named slots is where we're actually passing in content to change what goes inside of this hero image. Now, again, if you've never seen markdown components before, maybe it seems a little bit overwhelming, but there's a ton of power baked in here. It's a lot easier than working with actual raw HTML and CSS or whatever kind of framework you might be using, like Vue or React. Once you understand the basics here, it's very easy to make changes and modifications. So for example, in my live preview over here, as much as we like our Congorilla here, maybe this is a little bit too dominating of an image. So I can just come up here and instead of having this at the bottom, I'm going to push this over to the right. We'll see our live preview update immediately. I can save that change and the deployment and the publishing is automatically handled as well. So I can just come back here and refresh my portal page and we're going to immediately see those updates I made. So again, colors, different components, design systems. That's all already built into what we offer here at Markdown Components. And there's a lot of advanced functionality here. You can create reusable components called snippets. You also have the ability to go much more advanced and actually inject your own custom CSS. So again, if you need to go outside of the system, that's possible too. But everything I'm showing in the portal today was built with just kind of the standard Markdown components that come out of the box. Now, the other thing you're going to notice is I have the ability to make every page here public or private. So you can see here, if I come to this guides page, everything here is set as private. So if we jump back to our portal now, you'll notice I don't have any access to the guides. And again, I can only see one API right now. So I'm going to go ahead and log in now. And we're going to see I get a slightly different view once I'm actually logged into this portal. So of course, now we see a whole new API here because this API had been published as private. If I look at the API, I can see the different endpoints, and this is using Kong's brand new spec render, which is much more modern looking than what you're probably used to with the standard Swagger editor. And I can learn about this API. There's also this guides page that I'm only showing to authenticated developers. Again, this could be maybe for internal teams or partners, or there's certain information that you'd like to keep private. You can build out these different pages that only subsets of developers can actually see. Now, the last thing I want to show, of course, is how easy it is to publish a new API here and then gain access to the API. So we're going to jump back into Konnect. I'm going to go to my list of APIs, and we're going to go ahead and make a new one. Now, I'm going to start with just an open API specification here. And that's really all I would need. Now, even if your API does not have a specification, you can actually just work with raw Markdown documentation. So, if your APIs aren't fully documented, but you still want people to know that they exist and, you don't have specs for everything, you can just publish an API as Markdown documentation. But in this case, I brought in a full spec. So again, I can see a preview of what's actually going to be rendered in the portal here and learn a little bit more about it. And again, I can publish it just like that, almost as documentation for the API. But I want to take advantage of linking this to an actual underlying gateway service. So the service is being proxied by a gateway I have running. So I'm going to tie it to this HTTP bin service. And with that linked, we're going to pull in some of these different routes for the API. And now I'm going to go ahead and publish it to my portal. So I'm going to push it to the demo portal. I'm going to mark it as private. So you can see here it requires the dev to be authenticated to the site. And then I'm also going to set a key off strategy to actually access this API. So let's go ahead and publish that. Let's refresh our page here. And now we see this new HTTP bin API. And just like that, I have it up and running with all this beautiful documentation to come review these endpoints. But now as a developer, I actually want to use this API. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to request access to this app I had set up called Mike's app. So I'm going to go ahead and register and go look at my application here. And if I open this up, we can see it is pending. So basically that API, you have the ability to set auto approvals, but it's set to a manual approval right now. So I'm going to go back into our demo portal. We can see here a new access and approval request has come in. So I'm going to go ahead and approve that request. And if I come back and refresh the page now, we see that I do have access to that. So I could already have credentials tied to this application, but I just made this application, so I do not. So I'm going to generate some new credentials here. I'm going to grab this API key. And I'm going to switch over to Insomnia real quick, which is our API client and testing tool. Now, right now, I have auth disabled. So if I send a request to this API, we should get a 401, and we do. That request has been blocked. But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and enable auth, and I'm going to paste that key in here. And that should be all we need. There we go. We'll get a 200. I'm able to request and access this API. So really there in the span of just a couple of minutes, we were able to publish API, create an application, request and approve access, and start sending requests to that API. And what's really cool, as a developer, I get access to analytics for my application for all the different APIs I'm registered to. So I can see requests, things by latency. If we had any error codes, I'd be able to see those as well. And then, of course, for anybody who's familiar with Konnect and the people who actually own and monitor these APIs, there's analytics built into the overall platform. So you get tracking both on the API owner side and the API consumer side. So hopefully that was a helpful quick demo. So to wrap things up, I'm going to go ahead and pass things back over to Aaron.
Awesome. Thank you, Mike. As you all can see, it was first of all, a very modern experience within the Konnect Developer Portal, but also, as Mike just showed us all, it's very frictionless, right? He just auto-registered his app to start consuming the API very quickly. So thank you all. Hopefully this was a helpful session on the value of the Konnect Developer Portal. Thank you for joining us. In next week's session, we will cover how to build a rich and well-integrated catalog of your internal APIs and services with another product called the Konnect Service Catalog, which kind of ties together our API discovery offering. So with that, thank you. Thanks, Mike, for joining me, and we'll see you next week.